Welcome back, everybody, to His Heartbeat. I have another great guest, Jody Hudson. Thank you for joining us, Jody.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so honored to be here, Sue.
Yeah, well, you have quite the story, but start out, just tell us a little general stuff about yourself, like where you're from, family, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. I live in California, but I was born and raised in Michigan. So, for those people that live in Michigan, you always know when you talk to another Michigander, you put your hand up like the mitten, right? And say, "Oh, this is where I was born."
Okay, okay.
So people always know, oh, okay, that's a Michigander thing. But anyway, got tired of all the cold, so came out west in the 80s. Um, have two children, Garrett and Alexandra. My career was primarily in the retail field for about 20 years, and then I switched over into the nonprofit world when I had my kids. And that just really spoke to my heart. It was one of those aha moment things where it just really filled me up. So I was doing that until last year when I got my Medicare card and I retired.
Hey,
So
you,
now I am focused on my private foundation that I have for my daughter, the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation, and also doing speaking engagements on my book that's called My Promise to Alex. So God is still keeping me busy, Sue. And I'm doing a podcast. Now I'm a podcaster.
oh wow, okay. Well, you look way too young for getting a Medicare card.
Uh, you're so sweet. By the grace of God, he just keeps, pumping energy in me. So yeah,
That's
so thank
awesome.
you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit more about what's behind the book and the foundation that you began, I'm assuming,
Yes,
for your
yes,
daughter.
yes. So my daughter Alex, she passed away at the age of 22 years old
Mm.
on March 24th, 2018. And it was after a lengthy 10-year battle of what the doctors classified as a medical mystery. She started in fifth grade getting joint pain inflammation. We just thought it was an overworked body because she was very athletic. And so the doctor said, just, have her tape it up with athletic tape, pop in a couple ibuprofens. She should be fine. Well, she wasn't fine and things progressed and it got worse and worse. She started losing weight. She was a brilliant scholar as well. And it was really unfortunate that this medical mystery illness sidelined her from going away to school. She had received a full ride scholarship to UCLA, but she couldn't fulfill that. So she had to stay home and do junior college studies with the hopes that she was going to get better and she was going to be able to go to college. Well, it was in 2017, after the 40th doctor, and after 10
Wow.
years of not finding what was the root cause of her problems, that this doctor down at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles, California, asked me a question that to this day I still get goosebumps. He said, Mrs. Hudson, has anybody ever tested Alex for Lyme disease?
Mm.
And I responded back, what is Lyme disease?
Okay.
Now,
So,
today I could be
yeah,
a doctor on it, but
yeah, we have a
um,
lot of that where I am. I'm in Pennsylvania, the largest population of deer in the country. So
I-
we're well
yeah,
familiar with it. Yeah.
yes. So we tested her, started on treatments, and we just could never get a leg up on it. And she passed away, like I said, March 24th,
Oh,
2018.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
So what transpired after that was basically Alex passing me the baton and starting the foundation, a nonprofit in her honor. It was something she always wanted to do to help others struggling with Lyme disease once she got better herself. But unfortunately, God had other plans. So I started this nonprofit, the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation, in 2017. And we primarily raise funds to help other Lyme patients with their treatment. We aid and support help people with resources, connecting them to the right doctors, doing all of that sort of stuff. Also, May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month. I just came fresh off of that. And I always go out on media, TV, radio, doing education, doing the awareness, letting people know about Lyme disease, how they can connect with us for proper, resources and information. And then if that wasn't enough, because like I said, I was starting Alex's nonprofit in 2017. I was also working for Catholic Charities, a nonprofit social service agency. And then God said, you know what, Jody, I want you to write a book. And I'm like, sure, because I have so much extra time on my hands. But for those listening, if they've ever been nudged by God, we kind of sit with it for a while. And then when it keeps, the nudging keeps happening and
Yeah.
happening, it's like, okay, God, I've got this. Like, I know what you want me to do.
Yeah, I think your mind fights it a bit like, well, how do I know that's God? It could be me, and I'm
Right.
already busy, so maybe the enemy's just trying to make me too busy or
Yeah, trying
whatever. Yeah.
to distract me. Like, is this in alignment with, what you want from me? Because I think that's always the underlying question whenever we, are doing new things, experiencing new things, or walking down different paths. It's like,
Hmm.
God-centered and focus, or is this feeding my own ego? And so
Right.
I wasn't a writer. Like I, wrote business grants and proposals. I never journaled, nor did, my daughter, which as I'm writing this book, I cursed her a couple of times, like, oh my gosh, Alex, I could just plagiarize now if you at least had written things down. But but yeah, God just kept nudging on me. So one night I sat at my laptop and just started writing and typing stuff in. And 4 months later, I had a manuscript and I ended up self-publishing it. And I thought, if one person read this book, wow, that would just, really make it all the worthwhile for me. Well, the book literally took off on angel wings. And the book is called My Promise to Alex. And what that promise is to do her foundation, but also to talk about her testimony, because the book is 50% on Lyme disease and
Mm,
50% on her faith journey, her walk, which
mm.
also included mine. So, yeah, I mean, here it is, how many years later, and the book is still going strong. I still am out there speaking about it. I'm talking about Alex's testimony, which also, ties into my testimony. And it really is amazing this journey that God has me on. And he's not done with me yet, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, long-term disease is rough. So, what was your journey and what was Alex's journey? And was it similar or helping each other or ups and downs? You're up, she's down, she's up, you're down. With the Lord, how do you handle that? What will you
Oh
share
my.
with people?
So we were baptized in the Catholic faith, so we were very good about doing our, Sunday church, the services, the sacraments. But it really wasn't until Alex on her own started discovering other churches, specifically non-denominational churches, that I would say her faith really took off and it was
Mhm.
on fire. And it was, right around the same time, 2016, 2017, where, she got her diagnosis and knew exactly what it was that she was battling. But having your child bring you stronger and deeper within your own faith is such an amazing, beautiful thing. And the first time that I went to this non-denominational church that Alex had discovered, and she had invited me to go to this service with her, it was very different for me because in the Catholic Church, it's very prim, proper. You stand, you sit, you don't
Formal, yeah.
do a lot. So imagine me thinking I'm at like this, faith rock concert thing. Everyone's, worshiping, praising, and I'm just like, what is happening? But she grabbed my hand as we were singing, and I just remember thinking, God, I don't know where this journey is leading us. I don't know, but right now I'm just surrendering everything
Mm,
to you. And I know that you've got us in the palm of your hands. And it was tough, but she and I, like you had, just said, we are kind of like a rubber band going back and forth on days when I was really getting low. She would bring me up and vice versa. But yeah, it was tough. And I remember Sue in December of 2016 before she passed in March of 2017, where it was one of those days, and I was always very strong around Alex because I knew I needed to be. I was a single parent. She only had me to rely upon. And I had just had it. I was just like at my wits' end. And I was dusting, I was cleaning because that's what I do when I'm like all anxious and nervous,
mm,
right? Pick up
mm.
duster and just go at it. And I walked into Alex's bedroom and I said, "You know what, honey? I'm just going to go to the store really quick and I'll be right back home." Because I knew I needed to get out. I was just having one of those moments. And so I took off in the car and I remember pulling over and I just sat there and I let God have it. I was like pounding on the dashboard. I was crying. I was just, why God? Why me? Why us? And I gave him, silly me, I gave him an ultimatum. I said, "Here's the deal, God. You either fix her right now and make her healthy, or you take her because this purgatory that we are in, I can't sustain it any longer, and neither can she. Like, I'm
Mm,
done. Like, you have
mm.
pushed the limits. I've been a faithful, good servant, but I am done." And after that, I came home, let Alex know that I was back, and I continued dusting. And I just happened to look out into our courtyard where we had a beautiful fountain, and I saw this bluebird. And it just kind of took me away. It just kind of centered me and gave me peace. And I looked up later what the meaning of a bluebird was, and it's hope.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I walked into Alex's bedroom and I said, "Honey," I go, "have you ever seen that bluebird before?" And my wise daughter said, "Yes, Mom. I see it every day at 3 o'clock."
Mm.
And I'm like, wow. I said, when you see that bluebird, how do you feel about it? Because I know it brought me peace. And she said, "Well, when I see that bluebird," she said, "I know that I have another day here on earth and God hasn't forgotten about me."
Oh,
And so I
yeah.
kissed her on the forehead and I walked out and I sat down and I was just like, I took a deep breath and I said, "God, I am so sorry. I owe you such an apology. Here I am saying, where are you in the midst of all of this, thinking that you aren't showing up, and yet you are every day."
Mm,
On me that I just didn't see the sign because I was too consumed with my own feelings and emotions. But good for my daughter, she did.
yeah. Yeah. But God is so patient, full of grace and compassion. Um, it's amazing how he doesn't get rattled when we're rattled or when we complain or when we yell or when we scream. Um, and I think he's sad. He feels for us. He knows we can't understand, and he knows that he can't completely explain it till we get to heaven, and then we're gonna go, oh, okay, but it's sad for him too, And I think heaven is just such a different place, and there's so much to it that we don't understand or know and won't know on the earth that he can't fully explain it.
And just when you said that, it triggered something in a good way, talking about heaven, and we don't really understand it, because we haven't been able to see it and feel it and witness it. But my daughter gave me the most amazing parting gift. And that was when she passed. I know a lot of people have had this experience, and it really it helps. It helps for those that are left behind. And I didn't know that she was going to pass away on that day. And I was sitting there, just she was kind of like in and out of sleeping. And I was sitting there just, talking to her and playing with her hair and just saying, you know what, Alex, like I know that God has better plans for you than what you are going through right now. And I was just having this really deep, meaningful talk. And in that moment, God like said to me, you need to let her go.
Mm,
And I'm like, oh my God, but it's going to be so hard. I can't. And he's like,
mm,
you need to let her go. And so I told her that. And I think she was hanging on for me. And I said, you know what, Alex, it's going to be so, so hard. I said, but I'm letting you go. You can go up to heaven. You can be with your dog buddy. You can, play, have fun. You can be out of pain because I don't want you to be in pain anymore. It's just, it's not the life that is meant to be for you. And so I'm sitting here and I'm saying these prayers and everything. And she lifts her head up from the pillow and she opens up her eyes and has this huge, huge, huge big smile on her face. And then she closes her eyes and she puts her head back on the pillow and she passed.
mm.
And so, in that little glimpse, because of the love that she had for me, she showed me where she was going.
Right.
And it's going to be beautiful when
And
it's our
what she was seeing. Yeah.
she was seeing. So, Sue, as a parent, that gave me so much comfort because I'm like, I know she's with God. I know that she's
Mm,
going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. It's going to suck for me because
mhm,
her best day was my worst day. But
mm.
you know what? That was God's plan for her. And how wonderful that in the 22 years of being here on earth, she did everything that God wanted her to do. And he's like, good job, my faithful servant. But then he looked at me and was like, oh, your mother has a long ways to go. Not being
Uh,
caught up anytime soon. I got plans for her.
uh, Yeah, it's really interesting. I was started going through Second Corinthians again, and the first chapter talks about comfort, comfort, comfort. So I'm like, all right, I gotta look this one up. And so I'm looking up the Greek and all that, and there was in Strong's it mentioned the Latin comfort. Fort is the word for a fort, like a fortress, and it means strength. And I thought, how interesting when God comforts us,
Yes,
it gives us strength to press on, to continue on. It's kind
yes.
of cool.
Because what you were saying, earlier about his feelings and his empathy and his heart. I mean, he gets it, right? He knows all those
Mhm.
feelings. He's experienced those feelings.
Yeah,
And so he understands and he's able to comfort us.
yeah,
It's us choosing whether we want to lean into that or just be angry, mad. I mean, trust me, I went through all of those feelings, grieving, as we all do. Anyone that's listening to this, podcast that's suffered loss, you do go through all of those, feelings and the resentment and the anger. But for me, I had to really look at all of that and say, is this how I want to be defined? I don't want to be defined as a grief girl, right?
hmm
I
hmm
mean, there's so much more to my story, and I don't want it to be defined by grief. There's love, there's compassion, there's all these beautiful things still. And that's what, I have to keep leaning into the love and the blessings that are still out there for me because
right.
I don't want that as my definition.
So you're helping with this nonprofit, educating people on Lyme disease, that kind of thing. But you're also experiencing your own deep journey with the Lord. Have this, you don't want the grief to define you, but on some levels, loss.
Yeah,
has is part of your story. You
yeah,
know, there's you're somewhat defined by it in a sense, in a good way, you know, if
right.
there is it's hard to say that, but you know, in the sense of helping others, I guess, through that loss. So where is your focus? Do you like go, you know, well, I'm helping people with education, but I'm also helping people with loss, or yeah, where does that come in your story of helping
You know,
others?
really, my focus is on where God lands me. Sometimes it veers more into like these podcasts. This is all new for me. You know, I started this back in January, and it's amazing the people that God has connected me with and that audience. But then there's people that just will reach out to me from, Alex's website and with that desperation, which I so, know so intimately. So then I'll, veer over there. So it's really leaning into where my purpose is for today, because every day could look different, right? I have things that I know in my mind that I want to do, and goals that I've set for myself. But sometimes that might get pushed aside with a desperate email, a desperate phone call, someone that's come to me wanting to be, mentored. They have a family loss and their kids are going through a hard time and they haven't really experienced that yet. So could I talk to them? So it really, looks different. But I read this thing the other day and I love it. I'm involved in multiple Bible studies. I do a Catholic one and I do a non-denominational one. And there's this woman that I met through Podmatch that has different Bible studies. So I'm doing her Bible study right now, and she had written this, and it really stuck with me. It says, "The God of purpose purposed you." I'm like, oh, I love that, because we all always talk about our purpose. What does our purpose look like? And with my book, My Promise to Alex, through pain comes purpose. So I'm always leaning into that. My purpose today might be different tomorrow, and maybe it looks different from what I did yesterday. But I think that if you start off every day, just like, okay, God, what are your plans for me today? Let's conquer this together and bring him along with you throughout the day. It's so easy to get sidetracked, but really it's just, leaning into that. What is God's purpose for me? And
Yeah.
that too is like really how I want to ride off into the sunset. Like continue just to let me know, God, like where you want me to go, what path I'm supposed to be taking today. And even, you and I were talking about something before we jumped on with this podcast. You just never know where God's going to lead you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love Ephesians 2:10 has meant a lot to me recently. And it's similar to my theme, which was Isaiah 61:3, right? That he bestows on us a crown of beauty instead of ashes. But in Ephesians 2:10, that he's created us and he has prepared us in advance to do the good works that he has for us. So he knew, Jody, that what was to happen, right, with your daughter all along,
Yeah.
from the moment that she was in your womb, even before that, even before he created her, right? He knew her destiny, he knew your destiny, he knew how they work together, you know, and he prepared you for that, even though I'm sure when you go through that, you don't feel prepared for it. You're like, I yeah, but in time you look back probably and you can see some ways that God had prepared you.
God has prepared me for things, for unimaginable things that have happened to me from the minute I was born, being born to a single mother who couldn't care for me, and I was placed in, foster care. And then I was adopted into a home of two parents that were battling alcoholism. And then fast forward to a marriage that I thought was gonna last a lifetime. And after 20 years, it ended in divorce. But I had two beautiful children out of that which unfortunately, one had a medical illness which took her life. And then my other child, my son, who, they say the parent-child loss is really, really tough, but his sibling loss is even tougher. And his sister was his best friend. So
Wow.
he's gripping with addictions of gambling and other things. So, but had I not, had God in my life during all those situations, like he was preparing me, he was, always there for me when I could only count on myself and him. So he was building in me that whole, you know, um, the whole foundation for which when everything was crumbling down around me, he was still there holding me up. So it is interesting what you said, Sue. Like when you look back on your life thinking, where was God in all these moments? Like, look at all this stuff that's happened to me, all these horrible, unimaginable things. But
Hmm.
he was always there. And
Yeah.
he will continue to be there for me and continue to pour into me. And it is sad because of my upbringing. The only thing I really wanted to do well in my life, Sue, is to be a great mom, to have
Mm.
that relationship and to know what it felt like to have that love with children. And unfortunately, one has been, taken from this world and another one is struggling. So that really places so much on me with my faith, but I keep leaning into it because I know that the story is not done yet. I know that something
Yeah.
is going to come from it. And my son could be a wonderful testimony. So that's what I'm leaning into. And I saw this other thing too the other day. It says, I want to follow my faith, not my fear. So when I start getting anxious and I start having, fear creep in and Satan is trying to attack me because I'm feeling vulnerable, I'm like, not today, Satan. I'm following God. I'm focused on God. And then it goes back to purpose,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to
That's
focus,
beautiful.
follow on him because I know he's got great purpose for my life. And, people listening today, that's what you have to keep doing. Just we all get off the paths and the roads and everything, but rein yourself in. Each day is a new day. Get focused and figure out what your purpose is because God's got a purpose for all of us.
Yeah, and like you said, your dream was like having kids, raising those children, and he's given them to you, and you had a tremendous impact in your daughter's life, and you prepared her for whatever her role is in heaven. You know, we all have a job there too. And like you said, your son's story definitely not finished. I've seen that in my own family, because I survived, but I had a lot of severe stuff as a child, 26 surgeries in 15 years. So a lot of that. But my mom really was like you, she just really poured into me and kept my hope and my faith. And, she didn't know the Lord personally. I got to hear about that in high school and helped her. And so we very similar to you guys, but it took a while for my oldest brother, honestly, because it's hard when you see the suffering of your sibling and things not go the way you'd like. And my dad left my mom and same thing, similar. But yeah, it took time in his life, but he got there. So I think keep praying, and your strong faith, he's aware of it. And you hit the end of yourself. You do. You hit it, and then you're just like, where to turn because your mom had been that role model for you, right? So it worked for her. And so when you come to that point where you've tried everything and you're still miserable, you're like, okay, I'm going back to that faith. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so kudos to you for everything that you've been through and look at, what you're doing today and how the Lord is working through you. So the Lord can work through all of us. It's just
Yes.
up to us to invite him in and say yes just let me serve you.
Right. Here I am, Lord. Send
Yeah.
me. That's awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I know you have another engagement. I'm sure we could keep you on. I always have a million questions, but this
Yeah.
was so helpful just the same. And I believe in encouragement. I know some of the women specifically who listen to this show and they face some of these real uh, hardships and suffering. So I appreciate your story.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, and I'd love to come back and we can, explore some other topics as well. So thank you. I really appreciate you and I appreciate what you are doing just to help everybody to guide them to Jesus, right?
Amen. Yeah. So don't forget her book. I'm ready to jump off this and go on Amazon. My Promise to Alex. That's a beautiful title. And by Jody Hudson. So, yeah, she's been an award winner with that book. So, y'all go out and get a copy and read it and then pass it on to someone that also, is going through some of this suffering. So, yeah, thank you for being available to the Lord and being available to us today.
Thank you, Sue. God bless you.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Have a great week, y'all. And we'll see you back here next week with another great guest.